house too. We have the Caribbean represented. In case y'all didn't know, I have a little accent, and it's probably from the Caribbean. It's not from Texas, but I live in Texas right now. So I'm going to share my screen, and yeah, we're going to dive right in. Just so you know, I love an interaction. So please, if you have questions, you don't necessarily have to wait to the end. We will take them in the chat, and raise your hand, and just have a chat. It's going to be fun. It's nothing serious here. It's all fun, as you will recognize about me. So I'm going to share this presentation, and tell me what you see. Do you see the presentation?
Yes, we're seeing it.
Okay, great. So the three C's, it's one of the frameworks that I created at the Center for Transformational Leadership, one of my other companies, and I call it the secret sauce. So since most of us are in agile or agility, project management in this space, I think you guys will kind of understand a little bit what we're talking about. Now, I like to, what I call, go beyond the title when I am doing a presentation. So as you see, I changed the way I look. I think you guys saw me another picture, but this is kind of how I'm looking today. I love to laugh, so I will probably be laughing at some point during this presentation, if not throughout. And she said a lot of things about me, so I don't need to repeat it, but I just want you to know that on the left-hand side, you see all these little acronyms there. These are places where I've done workshops, webinars, and coaching for people. So I think I'm qualified to speak to you today. My personal mantra for those that know me, or even if you don't, I do believe that leadership is not about me, but it's about the people who I lead. So again, you're welcome to connect with me with that QR code. I think it takes you to my LinkedIn page, and please engage with me there. I have a newsletter as well. So just trying to, stay involved. Okay, so let's jump right in. So first thing I want to ask you is, do you see a picture on the screen? What does that picture say to you? So we're starting the engagement right away. You could type it in the chat, you could say it. What does that picture say to you? Anybody?
Beautiful sunset, birds information.
Nice.
One is leading and the others are following.
Okay.
Leadership and collaboration.
Ooh.
The guy in the front breaks the wind. The guys at the back follow the guy in the front, and it's a bit easier for them when they're flying.
Nice. Actually, instead of it being birds, they're geese. So I guess a geese is a kind of a bird, right? When I was growing up, I had geese. I grew up with geese. It's kind of strange, but we had some geese. So yeah, great. So these are geese information. But so the reason I show this is because I created a framework around these geese. And so we'll talk about that as well tonight. And it will take us into about, because we're speaking about leadership and how we're going to lead our teams to becoming winning teams, right? Becoming high performing. So that I specifically picked that picture so that you can kind of see where we're going, and hopefully we'll end up there. So the agenda is the importance of high performing teams, high resilient teams, teams that do well, winning teams. And we'll do an overview of the three C's, which is my framework, as well as the Goose framework. So we'll talk about that today. So we're going to jump right in. What makes a team successful other than another team? What makes it more productive or engaging or even high performing? What does that? So I'm going to ask you, a question. Is it talent or is it performance? Which do you believe is true? Since I can't see the chat, somebody will have to tell me if it's talent or if it's performance, and then I'll tell you what I think. Any thoughts? Okay.
Performance.
Performance. All right. Yep. Good. And anybody want to think it's talent?
Talent is individual.
I like that. Well, keep that thought in your mind. A high-performing team, and thank you so much for participating, whoever that was, I appreciate that. A high-performing team isn't just one that works hard. It's one that works smart with purpose and impact. So when we have a team, our goal isn't just to be a good team. It's to be the standout team, the team that sets the example for the organization, the winning team, the high-performing team. So today we're going to shift our focus and our mindset from completing tasks to driving results together. Now, in reality, I asked the question about whether it's talent or if it's performance. In reality, talent is not portable, and we have seen that many times. Now, I don't know if you read in the beginning of the bio, I said that I believe I'm a gourmet chef, right? Because I love to cook and I love to disrupt a recipe. So I'm going to talk a little bit about using food as an analogy to describe what I mean. So talent is like ingredients. The team's talent is like having the best ingredients, high quality, maybe Kobe beef if you eat meat, truffle oil, the freshest vegetables, organic, whatever. Just like how expensive or premium ingredients don't automatically guarantee a delicious taste, having talent doesn't necessarily result in immediate team success. Why? Because the way for a meal to turn out depends on how well the ingredients are prepared, combined, and cooked. And performance is the cooking process. So you can have the best ingredients, the best team with the best talent, but if the chef, the coach, the team lead doesn't know how to balance flavors, balance the team, control the heat if you're in the kitchen, allow time for the dish to come together, the meal wouldn't be as good as if you did all of that. So let's take basketball as an example. In basketball, this is execution. It's teamwork and chemistry. On our teams, it's the same thing. It's execution, teamwork, and chemistry. Without the right ingredients, without the right strategy, without the right coordination, individual talent, as somebody said, doesn't translate to wins, because you win when you're on a team. Do you guys remember, if you guys heard of LeBron James, he's famous guy, he was playing for Cleveland and he went to LA. He joined the Lakers and he was the star ingredient. They took him from Cleveland because high performer, getting all the balls in the basket, doing the best thing, right? But when he got to LA and he was introduced to that recipe, it was tough and it wasn't refined. And even though he had great individual performance before, he was number one. That team in Cleveland never got a ring. But guess what happened? The only time they did well in LA was when the team actually came together and built what? Synergy. They were slow cooking. It's like that dish, you're nurturing that dish, you're tasting it, you're adding things, and it becomes, and when the flavors meld, then we get to something exquisite. So that's what we want to do with our teams. We want to make sure that we are blending talent and performance together, because just talent alone doesn't do it, and you can't perform without having good people. So for example, this indie team here, this indie team is what I would call a winning team. Because if you've been to the NASCAR races or the Indy 500, which I have, and of course you've seen it on television, they actually do those pit stops in under 8 seconds, not minutes. Change oil, change wheels, give the driver something to eat, something the driver changing clothes. All sorts of stuff is done under 8 seconds. Now that's a high performance team, and that's what we want to get to. We want to utilize what I call the 3 C's, the secret sauce, for the team to come together and become a winning team. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
So how do we do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Right? So first we have to build a team. How do we build a high performance team? Well, first you want to create a vision that is aligned and committed. 2, you want to make sure there's focus, that the team has something to focus on, that they're heading into something, they're producing powerful action. That's what focus will do. Build. As the leader of the team, you want to manage relationships and you want to build trust, right? Because that's we're the leaders, right? This is for agile coaches and project managers. This is what this presentation is for. So I'm speaking to the leaders. So that's what we got to do. We also got to produce commitment-based teamwork. We got to get everybody on board and where everybody's committed. I'll go more into commitment. We want to hold review meet. Why we want to do reviews? Just to, we always in the agile space want to inspect, we want to adapt, we want to continuously improve. So you want to do that as well. These are all the steps that you need to build you a high performing team. And the last one is you want to manage breakdowns effectively. And why do you want to do that? Because there's always going to be some type of breakdown. And we got to be able to be prepared, and then we have to be able to manage it effectively so that the team doesn't just stumble and just halt. The team can continue going on. So I like to say you do that by first building resilience. Now, the nature of our agile projects, it's uncertainty, it's changing requirements, it's tight deadlines, it's continuous all the time, unpredictability, project outcomes, the requirements change, the stakeholders have a question. There's always something going on. So we want to be able to think about how we can build resilience. Now, what I say is resilience is when you take adaptability with strength. So you take your team, you look at the strengths, and then you see how you can adapt, and that's how you build resilience. It enables teams to respond quickly without losing momentum. As you know, we are in a high, fast-paced environment when we're in an agile environment, when we're working on agile projects. That's a typical nature of these type of projects. So we want to make sure that our team is able to utilize its strength, adapt, but maintain resilience and not lose momentum. If you have any questions here, please feel free to put them in the chat or, stop me and we can discuss it. Now, why is building resilience crucial? Why is this crucial? Now, you guys know we do something called daily stand-ups, right? And we ask the 3 questions. What did you work on today? Or, what are you going to work on? What did you work on yesterday? Is anything blocking your progress? These things, the reason we do this in this space is because you want to not only time box for effective focus, that's very important, but we also want to maintain clarity. And that's very, very important because sometimes different people may come on the team at different times, or even the current people on the team get a little confused as to what they need to do. I see it on my team all the time. People reading the requirements in their own way. Sometimes we have to come together as a team to read the requirements so that people can get feedback from others so that we could get and understand what it is we got to do so we could move forward. So you want to ask the team not only to work on the tasks that they have, but you want to ask them to be honest, to speak up, and if they have to ask for help, do so. Because clarity, in my mind, is kindness. I always say that clarity is kindness. So this allows people to share problems without feeling like if they're a failure. So you want to create that environment where you are buffering capacity for unforeseen challenges. There's always something going to happen within a sprint. Things change, hurdles, different things. We want to create some non-work conversations with the team to bond over things other than work. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. These are the things that help with building resilience, because if the team feels that we're all in this together, we're all working on the same things, they tend to manage their stress better. They tend to relax. They tend to do the work. I have this thing that I do with my team. I call it an energy check. I ask the member of the team, what's your level of energy today? And I like to kind of do that midweek. We do that usually on a Wednesday. Is it from 1 to 5? What's your energy level? And if anybody says 2, we want to ask them how we can help to bring that up. These are the kind of things that you do to help build up resilience, which will help your team in turn get to the point where it's self-organizing and high-performing. Do you agree with me, or do you want to add something, take away from this? Any thoughts here? Excuse me. We good? Everybody agree with what I'm saying? Okay, well, let's go straight into what I call the secret sauce. The secret sauce, the 3 C's. These are the pillars that I'm talking about. A perfect combination of these makes a winning team. Capability, commitment, and culture. Now, I don't know if you've seen this matrix before. this capability commitment matrix. But if you get these three sources, I call it, together, you get to your team's effectiveness. So first we're going to discuss capability and commitment. So what makes a team high performing? I come back to that question again. What makes a team high performing? We know it's not just the talent, right? We know it has performance as well. We know it's not just the people on the team, it's a lot of other things that they bring. So now across industries, research shows that the best teams balance capability with commitment. Commitment is another word for engagement, for being committed to the team. Many companies use this matrix to understand how to structure your teams, how to develop your talent, and how to increase engagement. Because when you increase engagement on top of the developed talent and on top of the structure that you put in place, you're on your way to having a winning team. According to global studies in the workplace, high-performing teams typically have a strong mix of high capability and high commitment. And organizations that intentionally develop capability through training, mentorship, and stuff like that, they tend to see a 20 to 30% increase in higher productivity. Why is that, you would say? Why is engagement or commitment directly affecting performance? I thought it was just the talent, right? The guy is good, he can throw the ball, he can, do the coding. Is that all they need? No. You need to have engagement. Gallup research shows that companies with high employee engagement are 21% more profitable than those with low engagement, even though the employees may be very highly skilled. So now we want to understand this CAPE matrix, and we want to use it as a tool, not to look at individuals, but to look at your team as a whole and see how you can utilize it to optimize your team's performance. So the bottom right, we'll start with the bottom right, the strong commitment, low capability, or developing capability. These are the people that I say they have high engagement, but they may have some skill gaps, right? So they may need to take a course, they may need to take some training. They would perform better if they're given some extra training. Maybe if they're given some mentorships, right? Organizations that invest in training programs see an increase in productivity and retention with this group. I like to say about this group is I could cut them a blank check, because they're already committed. They're already committed to the organization. They have high commitment. They show up every day. They might just be missing a few skills, and that we could train either on the job aids, whatever that is. The next team, the top left, strong capability but low commitment. Now, if you check your teams, go back tomorrow, you'll realize that 70 to 80% of your team is right here in this quadrant. You are also in that quadrant as well, because you tend to be in the space where the majority of the team is. You have a high capability, you know what you do, but sometimes your commitment might be low. You may not be fully engaged. And that is why they've probably put you in a leadership position, so that you could change your perspective. And then because you're in a leadership position, you'll be able to help your team move from that quadrant to the one on the right. This group of people here, McKinsey did a research, and they say that they usually provide challenges, right? Because their commitment is low. You need to get them some leadership opportunities. You have to give them a little autonomy. All of that kind of stuff will help increase motivation with this group. And once you get this group motivated, guess what? They go from low commitment to high commitment. Their capabilities are already good. They're highly skilled, they're educated, they know what they're doing. They can, do the work with their eyes closed. They're just missing the commitment. And it's sad that 70 to 80% of the team is there. Bottom left, low commitment, low capability. Now, Harvard Business Review said that when organizations realign the roles with this group based on their strengths, like what I like to say, putting the right people on the right bus, they will see a 25% increase in job satisfaction with this group. even though it's low capability. Their skills are, but their commitment is probably not good at all. And in some instances, in the very rare instances, you may have to move these people to another team. Some people go to the extreme and fire these people. I'm not saying to do that because you may not even have the authority to do that. What I would say is these are the people you want to give a little bit more extra to them. You want to find out what's going on with them. You'll do a little bit more check-ins. How you doing? What's going on? Yeah, you understand the requirements? Do you have any questions? You don't necessarily have to do it in a formal one-on-one. You don't have to necessarily do it in a review, but you want to have a little bit more hands-on with this group and massage these people a little bit, because you will see that if you realign the roles and you start paying attention to what these people actually, where their strengths really are, and you start to put them in the right seat on the right bus, their commitment and their capability comes up. So you want to do that. Now, the top right, high capability, high commitment. Those are A players. Those are superheroes. Those are your LeBron James and your Michael Jordans and these type of guys. They just show up. They'll just get it done, right? Research shows that these people, they're highly engaged, highly skilled, and they outperform others by 40%. They just love what they're doing, and they stay learning. And since we're in an agile environment, these people love, they thrive. But you have to do something to this team in order for them to maintain that. You have to recognize them. You have to give them growth opportunities. Just because they're doing good doesn't mean that they can't grow. They have to be uncomfortable sometimes and give them something new to do. You have to develop them with leadership abilities and opportunities. Make them team leads, managers, whatever it is you need to do. So this team, even though they're highly skilled and they're highly committed, they know why they're here, they show up every day. Actually, they may even help some of the people in the other quadrants. You want to keep this group engaged. Now, what does that mean for us? Why did I call this my secret sauce? I said, because if you have capability and commitment, and then we'll talk about culture next, and it really does help you create this type of, like, a sweet spot where you can get your team moving along. So this model is not about labeling people, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about saying, oh my gosh, you're C, you're B, you're A. It's not about that. It's about understanding what will help your team succeed. Every high-performing team has a mix of different strengths and growth among all of these people at several stages. You'll find in every group, there's a high strength, there's high capability, so it just moves around. So you just have to be able to recognize this. And our goal is to work together, to support each other, and to continue developing people's capability and developing their commitment or increasing their engagement, for another word. Any questions here? I know I said a lot, and I probably didn't pause enough. So any questions here on this slide?
Looks
Everybody good?
easy to understand.
Very easy to understand. I hope I was able to explain. That means I explained it well. Great.
Yep.
So let's talk about culture. Now, why did I add culture to the secret sauce? Culture is the foundation of a high-performing team. You could have the capability, you could have the high commitment, but the team success isn't just about skill or strategy. It's about the culture that we as leaders create and what the whole team creates together. High-performing teams thrive in an environment that fosters clarity, as I said before, trust, and shared purpose. So now we're going to break this down. I have 3 elements that I like to use to describe culture. Common understanding. To me, that is when clarity and equity come together, you get empathy come together, you get a strong team that starts with a shared understanding of the expectations and of each other. Now, what clarity will do is everybody know their roles, they know their responsibilities, they know what their deliverables are. It reduces confusion and it increases efficiency. And you want to ask questions like, do we all know what success looks like for our team? Are we clear on our roles? Are we able to contribute to the bigger picture? You want to ask questions like that to get clarity. and get everybody on board. For empathy, a great team isn't just about tasks either. It's about people. You as a leader, you need to show empathy. You need to put yourself in your people's shoes. You may want to say questions like, do we understand what drives and motivates us? Right? Ask yourself these questions and see the team can answer those questions as well. You want to have conversations about work preferences, about people's strengths, about what is going to help them and the team to strive. When teams build both clarity and empathy, they move better, they communicate better, and they build stronger, especially in regards to trust. Now, the second element is where trust and transparency come together to form psychological safety. Now, as you all know, this is nothing new. Psychological safety, if you want to have a high performing team, the team needs to be able to feel that they can build on trust and not fear. The team needs to feel safe to voice their opinions, their concerns, admit mistakes. And then you know what happens? They get innovative and they perform at a higher level because they feel comfortable. They're willing. I think there's some organizations, I think it's Atlassian, they let the teams just play on certain days or certain months where they just come up with whatever they want, do whatever they want. And they realized the team was doing so much just because they had total autonomy and they had safety, they had trust, and there was transparency. So you want to encourage open conversation here. You want to, even though people disagree, it's okay. Everyone should feel heard, right? You want to empower this transparency among the team. You want to support honesty by leading with authenticity. So guess what? The leader has to do this first. You got to make everybody see that you're vulnerable, that you're real, you're brave, and that you're willing to admit when you are wrong so that they will feel it's okay to do so as well. That's how you get your team to winning. It seems as if it's such a difficult thing, but it's really easy if we just utilize these skills. You also want to, I always say, we all bring our full selves to work every single day. And when we bring our full self to work, guess what? Our team is bringing their full self to work as well. So things can be going on outside of work with everybody. And we have to be able to acknowledge this and give people space to breathe, give people a place to feel respected and valued. Oh, I have things to do. I have to go to the doctor. I have my child, something going on with my child, or something going on with me. Whatever it is, you need to know that people are coming with these things every single day. And so sometimes when we get so rigid and we don't want to be flexible, it causes teams to break down. These are some of the breakdowns that I talked about earlier where we need to manage. Research shows that companies that encourage employees to bring their whole selves to work see higher engagement and better performance. Actually, Scott Farquhar from Atlassian said that, and I agree. The more we create a space for openness, the more engaged and committed our teams become, and this culture that we're building is what is going to create that secret sauce to get us to the winning team. Now, purpose and meaningful work equals collective impact goal. Purpose and meaningful work. What does that mean? Why do I say that? Because people don't just want to work. People want to know that their work matters. People want to know that they're solving problems, they're saving the world, they're providing solutions, whatever it is. But it has to be a collective goal for the entire team. So I can't be over here thinking I'm saving the world, but I don't care what everybody else is doing, right? It's got to be that the goals need to be focused, they need to be aligned. So the teams are but if a team can connect to a bigger purpose, guess what? They become more engaged, they become resilient, and then they commit to excellence. And once they commit to excellence, they're on their way to being a high performing, high self-organizing team. So we want to ask some bigger questions here under this element. Who are we doing this for? Right? Who are we working for? We're not just working for money. We're not just working for family. Who else are we doing it for? Why are we showing up? How does this work create an impact beyond today? Right? We're temporary. What are we doing something that's going to create an impact for the rest of society, for our children's children? Are we shaping something that will leave a lasting mark? When people have a bigger goal, you always hear people say that, have your goal so big that it seems obnoxious. And usually that's the ones you achieve, because it's not about just every little thing you do. It's about working towards something that's bigger and outside of yourself. Teams that emphasize purpose inspire growth. And the strongest teams feel like if they're part of something special, they're not just a group of individuals, but they have a mission and they have they're driven by this mission. Guess what? Then the team is best. High performing teams don't just work together, they create something meaningful together. So my final thought on culture. Culture is built by all of us. We build the culture. So you will build the culture with your team. You will encourage a particular type of culture in your organization, on your team. Clarity, like I said, creates alignment. So clarity is kindness. When you're kind and when you give people the opportunity to understand what they need to do, they will align quicker and faster. Trust, psychological safety, will help. We need to build that. And then we have to have the collective goal, which is we need to have a purpose, which will fuel motivation, which guess what it will do? It will increase that commitment and engagement I spoke about earlier. And then we're already highly skilled, or we're working on developing our skill. So these three together is the secret sauce. Does that make sense? Any comments?
Yes. You do have
Yes.
questions though.
Go ahead.
You can.
You have a question?
Yes, there's a question in the chat. Aniken, you want to take that?
I can't see it. So if you want to read it for me.
Okay. Pamela asked, how would you improve culture in a tight delivery environment that has a high staff turnover?
So there's a high staff turnover. So why is there high staff turnover? Is it short projects, short, we're doing things like every 2 weeks, we're sprinting every week. Well, why are the projects, why is there high staff turnover? People they don't have the skill, the ability. We need some more questions here, right? But what I would say is you still can build a culture. So this is a fast-paced, dynamic culture, right? Things are changing all the time. So you've set that up early in the team. So guys, I remember I worked in an environment where things was changing continuously, always changing. And we still had a culture, even though we knew that things were changing consistently. So we already know that, we accept that. So we know what we got to contribute has to be good, right? It has to be excellent because people are only really going to see it for a short time. So you want the team to beef up on their ability to produce really good work. And I don't know what's the reason for the high turnover, because that's weird. If you want to tell me, I'm not sure what's the reason for the high turnover, but you can still build a culture even in a dynamic, fast-paced environment, because there are environments that move fast all the time and people still get along and people still can work together. So I probably need a little more information there. Anybody else want to contribute something from their own experience?
I can give you a little bit more context. Hi, good evening, everyone. So the culture, I mean, there is a culture, but obviously it needs a lot of improvement. But the context there is, it's a very big, massive global organization with lots of international programs. And what's happening is very dependent on a lot of subcontractors, also very dependent on, there's been a lot of reorganization that has happened within the organization. So there's a lot of movement within the organization, but at the same time, you're expected to deliver within the tight deadlines and very fast-paced customer demands.
So is there a shared goal for everybody in the organization, whether they're distributed or not? Is there a shared goal? So I think that's one of the first things you guys got to do, right? Have a collective impact goal. Because even if we have different cultures, because it sounds like you have different cultures in terms of the people itself, right? You could still have a shared goal which means your purpose for coming together in the first place, right? And the work that you're doing hopefully is meaningful. So how about putting together something where we talk about our impact goal, working on that? And then that way the team will feel that they're doing something meaningful and purposeful to get to those goals, despite the fact that there might be cultural differences.
Oh, thank you.
Anybody else? Salim, you raise your hand.
Yeah, Karen, thank you. I don't know if we have actually addressed the question. I'm looking at this as a culture of the organization. I don't know if that is what we are referring to here, because if an organization has a culture, then I expect that that culture should be respected and obeyed, and everybody should fall in line with that culture, irrespective of what anybody thinks. If that is not the case, then it becomes an individual thing. People just behave in a certain manner. But if we have a culture in an organization, it doesn't matter whether we have tight deadlines or schedules. We should be able to live with our culture and also produce results. I have a question though, but this is my contribution as far as this is concerned. Now that I have the microphone, let me just go ahead and ask my question so that when we are done with this, we can also address it. My question will be on the other aspects apart from the culture, which has to do with the metrics that we have. Well, I'm wondering why a team will have a high capability and then low commitment. Something definitely is wrong. It may not just require training, but if a team has high capability and there's low commitment, could it be as a result of salaries or bad leadership or something? I think we can drill deep into this and be able to provide some solutions or guidance on this. Thank you.
Yes, I thank you so much for your question and your comment before. Let me address quickly the comment you made before. Even though the organization has a culture, right? And many organizations have a culture, but you have a small team. You are on a team, and if you're managing that team, you can create a culture within your team where you guys can do what you're supposed to do, so that there would be nobody not doing their work or not meeting their deadlines. That's a culture you have to create with your team. Now, the culture that the organization has, I don't think that should negate people from meeting their deadlines or deliverables. So I think it's two different things here, right? Now, if this whole organization is always changing, the management is always changing, the CEO is today and a different CEO next week, then there's a lot of stuff going on there, right? And it's probably not even an agile environment. So then that's a deeper thing we have to get into. That's something that's a totally different thing, right? Because that's something deep. That's like they got to go to a psychiatrist to dig down to the real issue, right? And again, it stems from the leaders. You got things trickle down. But if you're leading your team, I believe you can create a culture within your team by having open conversations, as I said before, right? Working on a shared goal, trying to be more engaging, doing things like, having like little one-on-ones and non-work connections, right? Not always talking about work, just having little meetings where you just chatting and getting to know each other and build up a kind of a synergy. Like I said, it's like buying all the recipe for the food, but then you got to blend it and make it together. So you got to figure out how to put your little food on the table and cook it up in that pot. Now, in regards to your other question, let me see if I remember it. You said that if a team has low commitment but high capability, that something is wrong, right?
Yeah,
Did I?
yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So low commitment could mean many things, like you said, money. It could be because all this other stuff is going on in the organization and it's trickling down to them, right? Like they're seeing what's going on with the CEO, they're hearing bad news in the company that's not good goodwill with society, all these other things that could cause people to. So again, there's this book called it's called Good to Great. I think I forget the person who wrote it, but he talks about trying to put the right people on the right bus and trying to make sure that everybody understands what is their purpose. Again, we come right back to getting people to be engaged and committed, because the only way you could, if you have high capacity, but your commitment is loose because you're not engaged. Commitment and engagement is the same thing. So why are they not engaged? Why they don't feel as if they're, is it the salary thing? We may not be able to do anything about the salary. So you don't want to leave. You might want to just leave the company altogether. But if you're there and you're an honest, straightforward person, and you know that while I'm here, I'm going to do what I need to do because I am here to do this work, and I accepted this pay, then I'm going to work to accept the pay until I change. So people who, they complain about the pay, but they don't want to leave the company, and then they want to sit there and be a quote unquote bad seed. If you're leading that team, you got to point out those people, and you got to talk to those people and say, hey, have a real conversation with them. Why are you here? Do you want to be here? Or you want to be part of this team? Because if you're not happy, nobody is forcing you to be here. So if somebody, those people, like I said, it's 70 to 80% of those people on the team. And sometimes they show up and they do the work and they may have little issues. But if it's really bad and it's affecting the team, then you have to bring it up. You have to address it. That's what I would say. Anybody have something else to add to that? I saw somebody else hand raised. Joseph, go ahead.
Yes,
Joseph.
Joseph, yes. I want to add something on the two questions that has been raised. One is the first one, why how will you improve culture in a tight delivery environment that has high staff turnover? Yes. Yeah, so that one, for the first one, what I need to add here is that in order to improve culture in a tight delivery environment with staff turnover, it requires an intentional actions that balance performance demands with people-focused initiatives. So some of the effective strategies may be to foster psychological safety, create an environment where team members feel comfortable voicing ideas, concerns, and mistakes without fear of or blame. So in this case, people need to have that feel of being in an environment where every idea, whatever they share, is being heard without any fear. And also recognizing and celebrating achievements can be one of the way of improving culture in the environment where there is tight delivery environment with staff turnover. That means even a small wins should be acknowledged to maintain morale and reinforce positive behavior. Then again, promoting work-life balance. This can encourage sustainable flexibility, work options, and a realistic deadline to avoid burnouts. And then investing in team building can also help to improve the culture in a tight delivery environment with high staff turnover. This can help team members to feel themselves being part of the organization and part of the project, whatever they are doing. And that's also to ensure there is a transparent communication within the organization to help and maintain, to keep everyone informed about the goals, the priorities, and challenges to build trust and alignments. So these are some of the points that I wanted to add on the on improving the culture in the tight environments. And the other one was asked by Selemani, if I'm not mistaken, said, why will team having high capability and low commitment? So due to some variety of organization and cultural factors, some people may feel to be in that way because maybe they are having a strong skills, expertise and experience and commitments. All these things relates to the motivation, to the engagement and alignment with the team's purpose. So some of the reason that may cause this is lack of connection to the vision or goals. If the team doesn't see the bigger purpose or the bigger picture, the value of the work, they may not be emotionally, they invest themselves in that particular project. Another thing is poor leadership and communication. Even if the teams are capable, if they are not engaged, if they are disengaged, if the expectations are unclear or leadership is inconsistent, it can lead to people to have very low commitment. And another thing is burnout and excessive workload. High pressure environment without recognition or work-life balance can drain motivation. Then mismatch of incentives, low trust or toxic culture, all of these can impact low motivation or low commitment for the team members in those agile environments or those projects where people are having higher capability but experiencing that kind of low commitment. That's what I wanted to add in the
Yes.
2 points.
Yes, thank you so much. Actually, yeah, and that's, I've said some of those things that the best teams, they are not just good at what they do. They have to create an environment where everyone can thrive. And that's part of our responsibility as well, not just as the team lead or the management, but as being on a team, it is also your responsibility to help build that environment because you're there. Like you said, sometimes we can't change how much money we earn, but we definitely can feel as if we are producing something, we have a shared goal. And I think that brings me straight into my next slide, because I have the technique. This is my other framework. I call it the goose, in saying hello to the goose up front, that when you have a shared common goal, right? Everybody knows on the team what we're working for. We believe in it, right? Not pretend. We truly believe that we know what we're doing and we have a shared goal that can increase engagement, right? Another way to increase engagement is we want to as a leader, you want to increase visibility and offer support. So like people who have the low commitment, you want to increase their visibility. Maybe give them some leadership opportunities, a little bit of autonomy, some extra things to do. Offer them that kind of support, right? You want to be open to seek and receive help, and that's everybody on the team. Sometimes some people will raise their hands and ask questions, and other people will not ever do that, but they have questions and they need answers. So you need to be, show some humility, let everybody know it's a safe environment. And no question is this. We say this on our team all the time. No question is a stupid question. If you have a question, you don't understand something, ask. And the team will embrace you, and they will be like happy that you asked a question, even though it was something that some people might think is stupid. You want to be open. You want to seek help. Don't sit there and need something and don't ask for it. Right? You want to leverage strengths as a leader. You want to identify who on your team can support the other person that might be, because I don't believe the whole team is going to be like that, right? Or even within the whole organization is going to be like that. There's going to be people in the organization that you can identify their strengths and help them to help pull up the engagement. Like she said, we need to be able to pull up the engagement on everybody. We pull up the commitment, leverage these strengths, identify and maximize these individual team members and see who can help who. And last, we want to recognize and empower We want to encourage self-organization. Like a team that has low commitment is because they're probably being told what to do all the time. Let them think, let them do some critical thinking, let them try to self-organize, let them take ownership of their tasks and ask questions. Be open. This helps with building up some engagement. So this is good discussion. I'm glad that you guys it's resonating with you and you're seeing that there are things that we have to do, there are things as a team to do, and yes, there are things that the organization has to do as well. But sometimes it comes bottom up and sometimes it's top down. So you have to figure out where you are and try to help support your team so that we could work in a thriving environment. Now I'm going to show you guys when you have the right mix. You have the source and this goose method that you actually can get to greatness. So I'm going to give you a study. I'm going to show you what I call, I'm being funny. I'm going to show you a study of how a team did this and they're doing good. All right, so let's look. It's actually a video. Watch. Play for me.
Great leaders don't set out to be a leader. They set out to make a difference. It's never about the role, always about the goal. Here's the 7 lessons we can learn from the geese. Number 1, sharing a common goal. As each goose flaps its wings, it creates uplift and aerodynamics orientation that reduces air friction for the birds that follow. By flying in a V formation, the whole flock achieves a 70% greater flying range than if each bird flew alone. Lesson: people who share a common direction and goal can get where they are going quicker and with less effort because they benefit from the momentum of the group moving around them. Make sure your team is aligned towards a common goal. Number 2, increasing visibility. Flying in a V formation increases the visibility as every goose can see what's happening in front of them. The lesson here is to make our organizations visible in both org chart directions. Having top-down visibility enables leaders to stay connected with the edges of the organization to make better informed decisions. Bottom-up visibility enables teams to see the bigger picture, engages them, and empowers them to better align themselves with the organizational objectives. If we have as much sense as a goose, we will stay in formation, joining those heading in the direction we want to go. The sense of community emerges with a willingness to work as a team. Not only is it more efficient, the flock together has better visibility of its surroundings and is more visible as a collective. Number 3, having humility to seek help. When a goose falls out of formation, it suddenly feels the friction of flying alone. It then quickly adjusts its mistake and moves back into the formation to take advantage of the lifting power of the bird immediately in front of it. Lesson: be humble to admit the challenges we face and to seek help as soon as we get stuck. This humility will enable you and your team to move faster and achieve more. If we have the sense of a goose, we will openly and confidently acknowledge when we need help and gratefully accept the support that is offered, and we'll fly harder to stay up with the flock so we can all go longer distances with ease. Number 4, empowering others to lead. When the lead goose in the front gets tired, it rotates back into the formation and allows another goose to take the leadership position. Lesson: empower others to also lead. Micromanaging and keeping tight control will burn you out. It will also disengage and demotivate others around you. People have unique skills, capabilities, and gifts to offer. Give them autonomy, trust, and a chance to shine, and you will be surprised with the outcomes. Number 5, always recognizing great work. The geese honk to recognize each other and encourage those up front to keep up their speed. Lesson: make sure we praise people and give them the recognition they deserve. Lack of recognition is one of the main reasons team members are unsatisfied at work and quit. It's very common for people's efforts to go unnoticed by their peers in a busy and fast-moving work environment. However, remembering to constantly provide recognition and encouragement is vital, and it keeps teams motivated to achieve their goals. Number 6, offering support in challenging times. When a goose gets sick or wounded, 2 geese drop out of the formation and follow it down to help and protect it. They stay with it until it dies or is able to fly again. Then they launch out with another formation or catch up with the flock. Lesson: standing by each other in difficult times. It's easy to always be part of winning teams, but when things get difficult and people are facing challenges, that's when your teammates need you the most. If we have the sense of abuse, we will stand by each other when things get rough. We willingly take the support and guidance that's an offer. Number 7, staying committed to core values and purpose. The geese migration routes never vary. They use the same route year after year. Even when the flock members change, the young learn the route from their parents. In the spring, they will go back to the spot where they were born. Lesson: stay true to our core values and purpose. Strategies, tactics, and products may change in order for an organization to remain agile, but great companies always stick to their core purpose and values and preserve them with vigor. If we have the sense of a goose, we will recover and regroup and resume formation with the greater team headed in the direction that we want to go, and we will stick with the plan until we succeed. Thanks for watching this video. Share and subscribe for more amazing inspiration.
Okay, so this was a real world, a brief real world example of high performing resilient team. And the techniques that I spoke about, they're being applied here to drive success. Staying focused, helping each other, being aligned, all these things is, I mean, she even mentioned it, just for mention about, supporting each other and giving feedback and recognition. That's what it takes. That's what it takes, ladies and gentlemen. So now, I also believe you have to foster resilience as a manager. You have to exhibit courage as a leader. So beyond the stand-up, you need to build trust and psychological safety, as we said, right? So by doing the regular feedbacks, doing the recognition, encouraging adaptability. We do that with our team all the time. Every year we give different people different work requests with a little more challenge into it so that they could try to adapt and they could get out of their comfort zone. And as a leader, it's very important for you to be intentionally vulnerable. And I'll say that again. As a leader, it's important for you to be intentionally vulnerable, where you want to show that you go first. You're taking on the challenges. You are speaking up. You are, putting yourself in other people's shoes. You are practicing empathy and understanding. When a team, like some of the teams that you guys described today, that's because you need to practice some more empathy and understanding. You need to be vulnerable. You need to let them know you understand. Whether you not totally in their shoes, you need to let them understand that you understand where they're coming from, so that they could feel as if they belong. Create belonging through feedback, personal connections, fostering appreciation and relationships, and showing appreciation. That's how you're going to build this supportive culture that I'm talking about. It seems like it's a lot of work on the leader, but that's what we're here for, right? We're learning this so that we can implement it. We have to create belonging, and it only comes through feedback and clarity and understanding. If you disagree, I would love to hear. And if you agree and you have something else to add, please share. So now we're gonna do some real world application. I'm gonna ask you some questions. Where is your team thriving now? Are you seeing, like, somebody mentioned before that they are losing people. It's a fast in out situation, right? And then we have the high capability, low commitment. What do you need to do to lean in more? I think we just mentioned it, right? We need to make sure that everybody know what's going on. We need to build some trust. Anybody want to comment here before I tell you how you can identify the key areas of where you might be struggling? Anybody want to share anything before I go into that?
Using the ADKAR model.
Repeat.
Using the ADKAR model. ADKAR model. Because that's awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement.
Correct. That's one good way to the 5 keys, the 5 key areas for where your team struggle, which can lead to dysfunction. So I call it absence of trust, right? Where the team members are hesitant to be vulnerable with each other. If you, as the leader, is vulnerable, they'll be able to have open communication because there will be no fear of making mistakes. Because you'll say, I'm always laughing on the team, I'll raise my hand if I make a mistake. It's okay. Fear of conflict. Rather than engaging in healthy, productive debate, team members avoid conflict because they don't want to, they don't want to mess up this quote unquote harmony, but it's artificial. Because even when you're home in your house, you have conflict with your children, your siblings, your spouses. So why is it that we feel that we have to have this great harmony at work when nobody is saying anything? No, we need to address these unaddressed issues. But in coming from a place of empathy, coming from a place of respect, not just slamming people against the wall and saying, oh, I have a conflict. No, you want to do it in a healthy way. Lack of commitment. If you don't have the trust, welcome to you, Josepha. Lack of commitment. Without trust and healthy conflict, the team members may not fully commit to decisions. You ever see people on the team who they never, those people who raise their hand, I want to hear from them. Because I want to hear if it's opposite to what the team is doing, because that's when we know that we're engaged. Even if the engagement is opposite to what you want to talk about, it's good. There's engagement. Because when you have ambiguity and a lack of clarity, guess what? You get a lack of commitment. So even if the engagement is a question, or the engagement is somebody thinking that you're not being a team player or whatever they want to say, it's still engagement. You want to have that healthy conflict. Avoidance of accountability. When commitment is lacking, team members are less likely to hold each other accountable or responsible for actions, or even responsible for contributions. We have 2 people working on a project. We know it's always never going to be 50-50, 100-100. Somebody's going to do more. It's okay, but they still have to contribute. They still have to do their part. And they have to feel that the other team member has to feel as if they are doing their part. So you don't want to avoid any accountability. You want to talk about it. You want to bring that up with each other or bring it as a team. And last one is inattention to results. When the team focus shifts from achieving collective goals and it's all about individual needs and individual attention, guess what happened? We don't have the results that we want because it's all about me and it's not about the team. And like I said before, leadership is not about you. It's about the people who you lead. So these are the 5 key areas that if you could recognize these, you might be able to help your team move from being dysfunctional and bring them back online. So we have Adebola, I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Tell me what you want to say, and then I think somebody else had the question up their hand before. Go ahead.
Mine is actually not a question. I just wanted to do a gentle time check with you. So we are slightly running.
Oh, we're pretty much coming on to the end. Yeah, thanks.
Sorry about that. I mean, great insight. Please continue.
Time box. Keep everything in time box. I got you. Yeah, so let's move ahead. Somebody else had a question. We'll have one more place for questions and answers. So I'll just quickly go through the 6 attributes of a high-performing team. One is they have to possess high productivity index. They gotta want to produce high, right? These people usually possess that, right? They own their task completely. They're not shrugging responsibility. They observe deadlines and they try to meet them as best as they can. Their level of commitment is extraordinary. Or sometimes it's just ordinary, but it's there. It's consistent, which is good. We'll take that. And they're not scared to say things that, they're willing to be innovative. They're willing to talk about complex things because they raise their hand and they ask questions, and they're okay with being curious and asking for clarity. These are the people who want to attribute to high performing. And also, these are creative members and they work on their own, sometimes without external support. But it's okay if they ask to support. You want to be there for them. Sometimes they kind of could take on their own thing and do it, but it's okay if they ask to support. Right? So the next thing is the group reflection. Where's your team strong today? This is our moment, team, to set the standard for what a high performing performance look like, or what a high performing team look like. Our evolution starts now, and it starts with us. This is something I said. Success is not about luck. It's about the systems, the discipline, and the mindset that we bring every day. So since Agile one of the main cores of Agile is inspect and adapt. We as leaders, we need to create space for that type of retrospection, even if it's for 10 minutes a week. We want to spark some ideas. We want to get some, we want to get the team doing. I mean, we do ask the questions, what went well, but we want to make sure that we open up more opportunities for engagement. And we may have to do that more than once a week if we want to bring this team together. And, I'm moving a little fast. I want to recap. So we have the 3 C's. Capability is where you align with your strength. You want to make sure you provide clarity. You want to make sure that people are okay to ask questions. If they don't understand, it's okay, and you need to show them and walk through things with them as a team or individual, however that's done. You want to build up that capability. Commitment, inspiring ownership. If it's low, you want to inspire ownership. You want to help increase engagement so we can get to high commitment and high capability. And we definitely want to create a culture that is engaging, it is trusting, there's psychological safety, that we want to win together. We have a shared goal. We have a path to excellence, right? And we want to be resilient. That's the long-term success, the key to long-term success, resilience. Continually doing this over and over, that's what we'll do. And here I am with questions. Any questions? Thank you so much for being here, for me to be here. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, and what resonated with you the most.
I have one question.
Yes.
So do you think a high-performing team performs better under the DACY model, where it's one clear driver, or the RACY model, where it's multiple folks coming together to make sure the greater good is being accomplished?
I think it does the latter. I think the greater good is being accomplished, because remember, people have individual strengths, and I think all of that comes into play. I think sometimes when a team feels it's just this one person is over them and it's end all be all with that person, I think that causes because they don't feel as if they have their attributes are being recognized. At least that's what I believe. What do you think?
I agree. I think the latter, the RACY model, because each individual is contributing to the project and it's getting done more efficiently, instead of waiting for one person, which is the driver, to tell everybody else what they have to do next and when they have to do it.
Correct. Because how do you get to self-organizing if you keep waiting for instructions, right?
Yeah.
You're not critically thinking, you're not, growing yourself out of this out of a comfort zone. You want to get into a discomfort in order for you to grow. Thank you for your question. I appreciate that. Anybody else? All right, team. Well, I think I was already told that I'm at time, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well,
but this is very insightful.
please use the
And
QR code to connect with me, or you could go to the website www.exceltoelevate.com. I have articles out there. You'll get to see the kind of work that I do, and please connect with me on LinkedIn, and let's continue to build some teams, better teams.
Thank you so
yes,
much, Karen.
thank you. Josepha?
Oh
Okay.
yes, just
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Karin, for very, very wonderful session. I believe every one of us has gained a lot today, and we are sure after this session, we will implement what we have learned today through the session that Karin has taken us through. It is really inspiring. It is really encouraging. I really appreciate Karin for your time. Thank you very much for your time and your effort, the time you have kept aside for preparing this wonderful presentation. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate for that.
thank you. It was my pleasure and honor to be with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yes. And thank you, everyone of you who have joined today for this wonderful session. And I'm very happy that most of us joined, around 28 people were online. This is really inspiring, and I believe every one of us is going to be a different version of how himself. Thank you very much for all of you who have spent some of your time for this session. And I believe that you are going to enjoy the rest of the day with this impactful session. Disciplined Agile Meetup session, we have this session every third Wednesday of every month from 8 p.m. West African time. We are a community of championing the real value of lean and agile, guided by the flexibility of disciplined agile. So join us every month for these meetups and open discussion with top agile mindset. So I really encourage you never to miss next session, which will be shared through the invitation that is going to be shared via email by our leader, the mastermind himself, Mr. Peter Motosho, who will share the next session and the next speaker. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate for your time and the effort you have made to be here today. So for those who joined today and they are all already PMI members, the code for the PDU session has been shared, and after this session, it will be shared again in the chat. So once again, before closing, I'd like
Thank you so much, Karen.
Of
This
course.
is compact, in fact, real value to us. So thank you, everyone, and keep building impactful teams, and take care. So we'll call it a night today.
Thank
We'll call it
you.
afternoon where I am. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Morning, afternoon,
thank
evening.
you.
Guys, sleep
Thank you,
well.
everyone.